Great. We are hurtling recklessly toward a break, you'll be glad to know. But before that happens, an opportunity for questions of the people who I hope will remain here, and I'd ask you to remain here. They're going to answer your questions from where they sit. They have mics that I think have green lights that should be on. We have runners, that is a number of people who have microphones who will bring those microphones to you. And here's how we're going to do the questions. So let me take a couple of minutes and acquaint you with this. We're anticipating there'll be far more questions than we have time for in most of the question periods. That's just what happens when you have 370 people, because we have people who will be joining us through their keyboards. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask you in a moment, if there's a question at your table, and there will be plenty of these, to hold up the numbered card, because my trusty sidekick, Tim, is going to be watching for those cards. And Tim is going to write down a number of those table numbers. He won't be able to get them all, and we won't be able to get in all the questions. And I'll come to that in a moment. And he's going to be fair. He is going to be fair. So we're not going to concentrate on the same tables all the time. He's going to try to be diverse about that. If he's not fair, you can talk to him afterwards in a dark place. Because it's his problem, not mine. But we're going to do the best we can to be fair. And then I'm going to recognize each table, and somebody will come to, just in a moment. Everybody's eager. Someone will come to you with a microphone, and I'll indicate what table is on deck, and the microphone can work its way to that one. And we'll also integrate questions from the webcast into those questions. I hope that's understood. One important thing, if your question does not get posed, we want it still to be posed in another form, and there's two ways to do that. One is you'll see a stack of question forms on your table. There'll be you can take those question forms, write your question out. I know this isn't going to be as inspiring as going live, but write it out, and there's going to be a box. There is a box outside that door on a table to the right that I think says question forms or question and answer forms or something of that nature. Put it in that box. The importance of that is that the questions are often as important as the answers. And they certainly are to the PNCIMA Steering Committee, who want to take these questions and consider them and see what questions aren't getting fielded at the forum, because they're vitally important. So if you think about questions tonight, or if you think about questions today during any of these question periods and are unable to pose them, please write them out and drop them in there. The other way you can pose a question is on the website, PNCIMA.org, at any time, either during the forum or afterwards. Two ground rules, if I may, to the questions. The first is, and this is going to disappoint some people, the first is please ask a question, rather than making a speech. The opportunity for speeches, and as I put it earlier, pulling the cork, is more in the breakout sessions where the accent is on contribution. So please pose a question. You're welcome to pose it to anybody who's up here. And the second ground rule I would ask is please be concise in your question. We've asked the speakers all to be concise in their answers, even though probably some of the questions that would be posed, they could go on for hours on. So hopefully that will allow us to get in as many questions as possible in each question period. Yeah, understand? Okay, anybody who has questions, if you want to stick up your table numbers in the air, Tim will make reference to those. Good, and the first question is going to come from table 26. I know that. So, and maybe you could identify who you are before I ask the question. Thanks.
Thank you. My name is Arnie Billis. I'm the Vice President of the Council of Haida Nation. I sit on the Governance Committee. But I also would like to thank the Squamish Nation for allowing us to be on their territory, and I'd be remiss in not introducing some of our folks here. Usually I come to these forums by myself, but the nation decided that might be a pretty rough lot here, so I brought some help. So if all the Haidas in the room could stand up, and and the people that work for us also. Stand up for a second, please. We have 3 hereditary chiefs in Reynold Russ and Alan Wilson and Lonnie Young. But my question is to the first... Musqueam Territory, sorry. My first question was to the first speaker, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Al Huddleston.
Al? You're making some pretty clear statements on stakeholders and communities being engaged in this process. How do you envision that, and under what conditions do you envision that?
Thanks, John. When I say communities, I'm not just talking of, I'm including First Nations communities in that framework. We live, breathe, work. Our kids go to school together. We play together, and so it's, when I say community, I mean that in the true sense of the word. And here again, it's critical that these 3 zones be created so we can have these forums ongoing out on the ground where people are most directly affected. And this will open the opportunity for participation up to all people in that area. And this process won't work unless that's done, in our opinion. Well, does that answer your question or not?
Well, not really.
Well, okay, so try again.
Well, on Haida Gwaii, we have protocols with all our other towns on island.
Yes.
And the other towns on island have also supported our Haida land use vision.
Yes. Which
in there is captured the values and principles of the land use vision. But also, how I envision it, and you might have your own opinion, but if we're going to engage with somebody, the Haida, we have to understand their values and principles first, and that serves as a basis of a conversation. That doesn't mean that's the final conclusion, but that serves as a basis of, why would a person have a conversation with somebody if you're not on the same page on values and principles?
Maybe I should just elaborate one bit, John. The people in the regional district and First Nations have had ongoing meetings, the C2C forums, they're called, and that is addressing exactly those issues you raised, that concern. We've got to come to know the people and know the way they conduct meetings, the priorities in terms of how you deal with issues, and basically develop levels of respect. So we have been in for some time now in these forums at a local level. So it's First Nations and non-First Nations people involved.
Yeah, because if you leave economics totally on its own, economics itself, the philosophy of economics, and it's already been played out over the land-based and sea-based, the corporate economic model, it already exists. And the same can be said of science. If you don't have values and principles guiding those things, then we're in problem. There's reasons why we're sitting here today wanting to do this thing, because those things largely have gone unchecked without those values and principles that we should all commonly agree to, and then work it from there.
I couldn't agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah.
Thanks, John. I want to make sure we get other questions too. We're going to go to table 16, and the question after that will be table 20.